The 2024 season was one to remember for McLaren. They had one of the fastest cars for most of the year and they won the Constructors Championship. While they may be celebrating their success now, they'll be facing an uphill battle in the coming years to defend their title. The last time McLaren won a Constructors Championship was all the way back in 1998. F1 has changed a lot since then. Back in 2020, the FIA placed limitations on the usage of wind tunnels and CFD simulators that could give McLaren a disadvantage for the crucial 2026 season. But before we get into the limitations of the wind tunnel and the CFD simulator, let's first understand what they are. The wind tunnel is a vital tool at the disposal of F1 teams and is seen as critical to the sport. It's used to help assess a car's aerodynamical performance by simulating the airflow around the car at high speeds. It can also help designers with cooling and balance aspects of the cars. As track testing time is limited to just before the season begins, the teams rely upon the data collected by the wind tunnel to produce the best upgrade package possible. It's a great way for engineers to identify if their ideas work. The CFD simulator stands for Computations Fluid Dynamics Simulator. It's another tool that helps with aerodynamics. It's a computer-based tool that predicts how air will flow around the car. The CFD can help engineers identify areas of turbulence, which can disrupt aerodynamic balance. It also allows teams to test other designs to create the best upgrade package. Both these tools are often used to design aircraft and fighter jets. Given that Formula One has entered an era where cars are more aerodynamically sensitive, the wind tunnel and CFD simulator play a very important role in designing every single part of an F1 car. So why did the FIA place limitations on the wind tunnel and CFD simulator? In order to utilize these tools, the F1 teams have to spend a lot of money and manpower into it. For this reason, the smaller teams were unable to compete with the bigger teams such as Mercedes or Ferrari. So from the 2021 season, the FIA placed limits on how much time an F1 team can spend in the wind tunnel or on the CFD simulator. This limit depends on where each team finishes in the previous season of Formula One. Before the start of each year, the FIA allots numbers for the usage of the wind tunnel and CFD simulator. To keep this video simple, we're not going to get into too much detail on what these numbers mean. We're just going to stick with the percentages, so it's easier to understand. But if you do want a more in-depth video of how the teams use the wind tunnel and CFD simulator, just let us know in the comments below. So the initial number that's set by the FIA is the 100% allotment. However, only 1 out of the top 10 teams receives 100% of the allotted usage of the wind tunnel and CFD simulator. Here's the table along with the percentage of time given to each team based on which position they finish in the championship. So given that McLaren finished first in 2024, they will receive only 70% of the time allotted for the wind tunnel and CFD simulator. This reduction in time might not have much effect on the team's 2025 performance, but it could have a significant effect on the 2026 season. During a season, F1 teams don't only spend resources to develop their current vehicle, they also spend resources to develop next year's vehicle. If they wait for the season to conclude before developing next season's car, the team will be too late and won't have enough time to design, manufacture, and test the new cars before the next season starts. Most of the teams started working on their 2025 car back in August. Some teams started to focus on this well before August. They find a way to balance development in the current season and the next season as well. So McLaren's car for the 2025 season is already nearly ready to hit the tracks. All they have to do is add the finishing touches and start upgrading the car once testing begins. But their 2026 car, on the other hand, will not be ready yet. Given that McLaren has received the least amount of aerodynamic testing time, they will have to somehow manage to upgrade their 2025 car and develop their 2026 Challenger. Another hurdle for the 2026 season is that the FIA are introducing major rule changes that will completely change how the car looks. This means that all the teams will have to make extensive changes to their machinery to make sure that they're competitive when the new regulations hit. McLaren does not have the upper hand here. However, the team's principal, Andrea Stella, is not too worried about this problem. Here's what he said. You wouldn't always take P1 in the championship and then see how you can improve your efficiency in terms of aerodynamic development in the combination of CFD and wind tunnel time, because the two things are compounded. One of the advantages for McLaren is that they have their own wind tunnel in their factory at Woking. Previously, they were using a Toyota's wind tunnel in Cologne, but with this new wind tunnel functioning at Woking, it's been much more efficient for the team to test newly designed parts for their car. This was one of the main reasons they were able to bring efficient upgrades to the car in 2024. The new wind tunnel is definitely a big step forward, he added. But the big step forward is, above all, from a logistical point of view. I always stress that last year, 2023, both the upgrades in Austin and Singapore were designed and developed at the Toyota wind tunnel. But to develop things at the Toyota wind tunnel, you have the part ready, and then it's tested 2 days after just because of the shipment timing. Now we have the part ready, and it's tested 2 hours after, so you just gain so much efficiency. But in reality, chasing efficiency is not only thanks to the wind tunnel, but is in the whole approach to aerodynamic development. And I have to say that we've experienced ourselves, that even if you have more and more restrictions, from a development point of view, the way you generate the knowledge, the efficiency, is by far the most important thing. While this new wind tunnel has improved things at McLaren, will this be enough to overcome the challenge of limited aerodynamic testing time? Let's not forget that some of the other top teams including Ferrari, Mercedes, and Red Bull have their own wind tunnel in their factory. They also have more aerodynamic testing time, as they all finished lower than McLaren in the constructors' standings. It'll be interesting to see how McLaren takes on this challenge and prepares for the 2026 season. Do you think the F1 grid will be shuffled in 2026? Post your thoughts in the comment section below.